In today's video, I'm gonna show you 11 amazing positions which are taken from the games of International Masters, Grandmasters and World Champions. So let's get started. So this position is taken from the game of Robert James Fischer and Paul Benko. Bobby Fischer is playing with the white pieces, and if you'll carefully look at the position, black has a back rank weakness. And the reason his 8th rank is weak because look at these squares. Both these squares are controlled by the white pawn. This square over here is being controlled by the queen. So black's king is kind of stuck on this g8 square and he doesn't have any place to move. That means he doesn't have any flight squares. Also, if you carefully see, the only defender of this back rank is this rook over here. So taking all of this information together, Bobby Fischer finds an excellent move in the game. He plays bishop to e4. The idea is that Bobby is trying to eye this important d5 square over here, from where it can give check to the enemy king. This square is now currently guarded by this queen as well as this rook over here. But Paul doesn't realize the importance of this d5 square, and without a thought he just plays queen to c8, which is a totally inaccurate move. And why is it inaccurate? Because you have removed one of the defenders of this d5 square. Now the defending job of this d5 square is now only left with this rook over here. So taking advantage of that, can you find the brilliant move that Bobby Fischer played at this point of time? Feel free to pause the video. Well, just imagine for a moment, if this rook was not sitting here, then it would have been so easy for white to just get his bishop to the d5 square and checkmate black's game, right? But since this rook is defending this d5 square, all you need to do is remove the defender of this square. So Bobby played queen e8 check, and here Paul Benko resigned the game. Why? Because if he blocks a check with his knight, then pawn can capture the knight while getting a queen on the board with a discovered check by this rook. King moves to h7, and now queen g6 is a checkmate. Let's go back, and if here black tries to capture this queen over here, then white can play bishop d5 check. Black doesn't have any place to go, so he has to block the check with his rook, but that doesn't really help black because white can simply capture the rook with a fork attack on the queen and the king. Queen takes bishop, pawn takes queen, and now white is up in material by 4 points, and from here onwards it's an easy win for Bobby Fischer. Let's go back. It is therefore in this situation playing queen to c8 was a mistake, and Bobby immediately took advantage of the back rank weakness by playing queen to e8 check. Let's look at the second game. This game was played between Vladas Mikenas and David Bronstein. The position is balanced here, and black here plays queen to e5. So what is black exactly trying to do? Well, if you see, white has a back rank weakness. His king is kind of stuck in the corner of the board. He doesn't have any fleet squares because he's blocked by his own pawns, and the only defender of this back rank, the major defender, is this rook over here, while this queen is keeping an eye on these squares 1, 2 and 3. So by playing queen to e5, black has created a battery on the e file and has now gained a strong control of the very important e1 square. Black's queen is also targeting this weak pawn over here. But here in this position, white totally ignores the power of this battery on the e file and just decides to focus on protecting this pawn over here. So he plays rook to b4 in order to protect this pawn. But that's a blunder. And why is this a blunder? Because the only strong defender of this back rank is this rook over here. So here black plays a shocking move, rook takes a3, sacrificing his rook for a pawn, as well as attacking this rook over here as well as this queen. If white captures the rook with his rook, then the back rank defender would be gone, and black can now play queen e1 check. White will block the check with his queen, and now queen takes queen is a checkmate. Let's go back. So white cannot capture this rook with this rook. So here if white tries to capture this rook with the pawn over here, then that would also checkmate white's game quickly, because the queen can now capture this rook with a check. white tries to block the check with the rook, and now black can play rook e1 check. White is forced to take this rook, and now queen takes rook check, and now queen interferes, and now queen takes queen is a checkmate again. Let's go back. So both of these moves are not working. What if white tries to capture this rook with his queen? So let's assume white plays queen takes rook, but that's a mistake again because it leads to mate in 2. Because black can now play queen e1 check, rook takes queen, and now rook takes rook is a checkmate. So now you have seen none of these moves are working for white. So what happens if white tries to get his queen to the back rank? Let's say if he plays queen to b1, then how can black take advantage of this move? Well, now since there are 2 defenders of these back ranks and black has 3 attackers to these back ranks, as you can see, 1 attacker is here and 2 of these are over here. So the combination of power is 2 versus 3. So all black needs to do is exchange 2 of the pieces and checkmate the white king with his third piece. So black here can play rook takes rook, pinning the queen to the king. If queen captures, then queen e1 check, queen takes queen, and now rook takes queen is a checkmate. Let's go back. And let's say after this rook captures rook, if white doesn't take the rook but rather plays, let's say, g3 or g4 to create an escape square for the king, then you can simply win opponent's queen with a check. King goes to g2, and now rook g1 check. If king goes to f2, then queen e1 is a checkmate. So king is forced to capture, and now queen e1 check, king goes to g2, queen d2 check. If king goes to any one of these squares, then he will be checkmated by a rook. So he'll block with his bishop, but you now capture the bishop and give check again. King goes to g1, and now bishop to h3, and now white cannot stop this checkmate irrespective of what he plays. Black is just going to checkmate this game now. So let's go back. So this move is definitely not working. Even this is not working, and even this queen move is not working, with the same idea that black can simply capture this rook over here, can remove one of the defenders of this back rank, and can easily checkmate white's game. Now let's look at this third position. Black's king is stuck in the corner of the board. He doesn't have this flight square available to him because that's controlled by the white pieces. Black's queen is currently pinning this rook to the white's king, and if you count the material, white has 4 points of extra material in the game. And this game was played by Bobby Fischer and Herman Pilnik. So here it is black's turn in the game, and ideally, considering that black's back rank is so weak, he should have focused on maintaining this pin. But because he is down in material, he thinks, let me just quickly capture this free pawn over here because I don't see that would harm my game in any way. So he quickly grabs this free pawn, but that move immediately leads to his demise. You know why? Because white can now checkmate black's game. Before I show you the move, can you find the winning move? So the winning move that Bobby Fischer played over here was queen takes knight check, and here black resigned. Why? Because if king takes queen, then this rook, which was earlier pinned, can now easily move to h3 square and checkmate the black king. Let's go back. So this is an important example where we learn that when you have a terrible weakness on the back rank, you don't want to focus on wasting your moves in grabbing pawns. You really need to find moves and play in a way that stops your opponent's counterplay. So here, instead of grabbing this free pawn over here, black should have maintained the pin by getting the queen to the f4 square. Let's look at another example. This game was played between Ossip Bernstein and Raul Capablanca. Here the material is equal and it is white's turn to play. So white here notices that this black's c3 pawn is weak, and the way he calculates is because this pawn is attacked by 3 of white's pieces and is defended only twice. So white thinks it wouldn't be much of a harm to grab this free pawn over here. So without doing a deep calculation, he immediately plays knight takes c3. But that's a blunder. You know why? Because black can now grab free material over here due to white's back rank weakness. Wanna see how? Let's see. So black can here play knight captures knight. If rook captures knight, then rook captures rook, and then rook captures rook. And we see that there is no strong defender of this weak back rank. So black should find a way to checkmate white's game. But how? Because if black tries to get his rook over here, then he will get captured. And if he tries to get his queen on the b1 square, then this check can be easily blocked by the white. So the problem here is that the queen over here is safeguarding these important squares of the back rank. So in order to checkmate white's king, black finds a brilliant move to remove this defender of this back rank. So black plays queen to b2, sacrificing his queen while also simultaneously forking two of white's pieces. If white captures the black queen, then that's a mistake because rook d1 would be a checkmate. Let's go back. So white cannot capture the queen, and also white's rook is under attack. So if white tries to protect the rook and gets his queen away by playing queen to e1, then this move simply loses material because black can capture this rook, and if queen captures back, then rook d1 would lead to a checkmate again. Let's go back. And if white tries to protect both of his pieces by playing rook to c2, then black can play queen b1 check. If the queen goes to this square, then white simply loses the rook and can easily win this game. If queen comes over here, then it gets checkmate again. If it comes here, then it gets checkmate again. So the other option is that white will try to block the check with his rook, but that also doesn't help because white loses the rook and now check and queen blocks, and now rook d1 quickly finishes off white's game. So let's go back. So what looked like a simple pawn capture over here was ultimately a blunder because after this knight capture knight and the subsequent exchanges of these pieces let Capablanca exploit this back rank weakness of the white by playing queen to b2. And now here is the fifth game played between Edwin Adams and Carlos Repetto. Though the material is equal in the game, white has a better advantage positionally because of his active pieces on the board. Also look how beautifully white's rooks are doubled up on the e file, creating a strong battery here. So here white plays bishop takes knight. And you may be wondering, why is this a good move? Well, it's a good move because if black takes back with his bishop, then he will have to face some serious consequences with this strong battery of the two rooks on the e file. And if white captures back with the pawn, then it would create double pawns on the f file and it would open up the black king, both of which would be a serious weakness for black. That is why capturing this knight was the best move in this position, which Edwin played. And here the best reply is to take back with your pawn. But since doubling up one's pawn doesn't seem like a very good idea, so Carlos here played bishop takes bishop. But that's a serious mistake. Why? Because now white's double rooks are creating a strong attack on this e8 point, and this particular rook or this e8 point is guarded by two of black's pieces. So imagine if this queen was not sitting over here, imagine if she was not on the board, then it would have been very easy for white to just take this rook over here on e8. This rook would have captured our rook back and then our other rook would have delivered the checkmate, correct? But currently this queen is doing a very important job of protecting the black king from the back rank checkmate. So can you find a move that attacks as well as tries to distract this queen from this place? I'll give you 5 seconds to think. So in the game, Edwin played queen g4, offering to sacrifice his queen as well as attacking opponent's queen. If queen captures the queen, then rook captures rook check, rook captures back, and now rook takes rook is a checkmate. Let's go back. So black queen cannot capture this queen. So in the game, black moved his queen to the b5 square, which is the best move. It moved its queen away from white's queen attack as well as still providing protection to this e8 rook over here. But white chased the queen one more time. He played queen to c4, which is another brilliant move. If queen captures queen, then again that would lead to a quick checkmate. So black cannot do that mistake. And if black captures with the rook, then it's the same thing again. It would lead to a quick checkmate. So any of these moves is not helping black. And now this black queen is under attack one more time. So he has to move. So queen moved to d7 again. And here white played queen to c7. Another brilliant move. Queen again cannot capture this. Otherwise she's losing defense of this e8 square. Because this will lead to a quick checkmate again. And if again black captures with his rook, it's the same story again. So any of the queen capture moves is not helping black. So that is why here black played queen to b5. And here white shocked black one more time, and here white played a4, attacking the queen one more time. Queen captured the pawn. White attacks again with rook to e4. Queen goes to b5, the only square available to her in order to maintain the defense of this e8 square. And now white played the fifth brilliant move of this game, queen takes pawn. Queen cannot capture this, otherwise she is losing. You know how. And the queen is under attack one more time. And now where should the black queen go? Cannot go to this square, cannot go here, cannot go here. And if she leaves these diagonal, then black is getting checkmated at the back rank. So either black has to give up his queen or the game. And here at this point, black resigned. Let's look at the sixth game. This was played between Paul Keres and Alexander Alekhine. Here Paul is up in material by one pawn, and here he captures this f6 pawn over here. So Paul plays pawn takes pawn, and here before I show you the game, I want you to pause this video and think for a moment that what would be the best capture for black. Should black capture this pawn by his queen or by his rook? Well, a lot of you must be thinking, well, how does it matter whether we capture with a queen or a rook? Well, it does matter because one of them is the right move and one of them will actually worsen your situation in the game. And the correct way to find out is to first look at the back rank. Look at this. So, just look at this position here and see that black's back rank is currently being guarded by these two rooks over here. These two rooks are very important and are doing a good job of defending this back rank. White has created a battery on this D file aiming at this bishop over here, but this bishop is being guarded by all of these three pieces. So if the queen captures this pawn, then this move would not hurt black's position in any way because then white cannot do much counterplay over here. But in the game, Alexander Alekhine did not capture this pawn back with the queen but rather with his rook, and that move was a mistake. Why? Because earlier two of the rooks were guarding this back rank and now this job is left to only this rook over here. So taking immediate advantage of this, Paul played rook h to e1. He is activating his other rook, bringing it on an open file and attacking black's queen. So what should black play over here? Black can ideally play bishop to e6 or queen to f8 or rook to e6. Any one of these three moves is fine. But instead what black played in the game was queen to b4. Well, you must be wondering what's wrong with this move. Firstly, you are allowing white's rook to control this complete e file over here. This important e8 square can now be accessed by this rook over here because the queen has moved. If the queen had moved to the f8 square, then she would have still managed to control this e8 square. But because she moved out of the way, completely out of her territory, giving up the control of this e8 square, white immediately took advantage of black's mistake. So there is only one defender of this back rank here, and if you see, there are 1, 2 and 3 attackers of this back rank. So Paul found a brilliant sacrifice over here, and that is queen captures bishop check. If king moves, then queen takes rook check, just loses material for black. Let's go back. So in the game, Alexander captured the queen back with his rook, but now this last move has removed the defender of this back rank, and therefore white can now play rook e8 check, rook goes to d8, and now rook takes rook is a checkmate. So let's go back. So in the game, when Paul captured this bishop over here, world champion Alexander Alekhine resigned at this point, because either he is losing a lot of material or he is losing the game because of his back rank weakness. Here is another beautiful example. This game was played between Viktor Korchnoi and Gregory Levenfish. Here if you see that white's back rank is weak because this bishop over here is controlling these important squares around the king. And if any of black's pieces come on the back rank, then the king would not have any escape squares. So it is very important for white to maintain both of his rooks on the first rank so that black doesn't take any undue advantage of the back rank weakness. But instead of analyzing this position properly, white makes the mistake of playing rook to d6, which is a blunder. And why is this a blunder? If you carefully see, this rook over here is already eyeing this e file. This rook over here is already eyeing the a file. Both of the black's rooks are keeping an eye on the white's back rank, and by playing rook to d6, white has just removed one of the important defenders of the back rank. While this rook is attacking this queen over here, black doesn't really bother about his queen much and immediately takes advantage of this weak back rank over here. So black takes, rook takes bishop. If rook captures queen, then rook captures rook is a checkmate. Let's go back. So in the game, white played rook captures rook, and now the second defender of the back rank is also out in the middle of the board. So while black would have loved to get his rook on the a1 square, but this move can be easily blocked by white by playing rook to d1 or maybe queen to d1. So before getting the rook over here, black tries to remove the other defender. This rook is defending this point, this queen is defending this point. That is why black plays queen takes rook, which is a brilliant move. He has just removed one important defender of this back rank. White really has no time to recapture this queen, because if he does, then rook a1 check immediately ends white's game. So let's go back. So therefore in the game, white played queen takes pawn with the idea of controlling this important square with both of his pieces. But now black played queen takes pawn, offering this queen for free so that he can deliver a back rank checkmate. Queen moved to e1, forming a battery on the e file and now threatening back rank checkmate in black's position. But black played g6, and here Korchnoi resigned the game, because though he is not immediately losing in the game, but he is down in material and black has better chances in the game. Let's look at this game. This was played between Bobby Fischer and James Sherwin. Here Fischer is up a pawn and it is James' turn in the game, so he decides to capture this bishop over here with an idea to win a free pawn. So James played bishop takes bishop, Bobby played pawn takes bishop, and now James played rook takes pawn. But this move immediately weakens black position. Why? Let's go back. Earlier, both of these rooks were defending this back rank. But after this rook captures pawn, there is only one defender left. And if you carefully see, white's light squared bishop as well as this rook over here are eyeing this f7 pawn, as well as white's other rook keeping an eye on the a8 square which is lying on the back rank. So combining these information together, Bobby found a brilliant move in this position, and that is rook takes pawn. Black cannot capture back this rook, otherwise he will lose the game. With rook a8 check, queen interferes, and now rook captures queen is a checkmate. So let's go back. So since black can't do much over here, so here black should have ideally focused on playing either h6 or h5 in order to create some room for his king, but instead what he played was another blunder, and that is rook to c1 check. And here Bobby played queen to f1. If black takes the queen, then white can take back with a discovered check on the king. If king moves to the corner, then it's a checkmate. So therefore, black will have to block the check with his rook, but in that case he will lose the game again because his back rank is too weak. So let's go back. So therefore, James did not capture back this queen, and therefore he played h5 in order to create a flight square for his king. Queen captured the rook, and now queen comes to h4, rook takes rook check, king goes to h7, h3, queen goes to g3, pawn takes knight, h4, bishop to e6. And here, since black is terribly down in material and is also losing the game very quickly, James Sherwin resigned in the game. Here is a game played between my favorite player Mikhail and Petar Mejic. Mikhail was playing with the white pieces, and here he played the move queen to e3. The idea is that the rook over here is already controlling this important d file, and now the queen can control the e file while eyeing this important e8 square over here, considering that black has a back rank weakness because he has only one defender over here, which is his rook. So queen e3 is a very good move. And here Petar did not realize his back rank weakness and played a normal looking move like queen to f5, centralizing his queen as well as trying to attack this pawn over here. But this move immediately backfired because Mikhail now played the brilliant move rook takes knight. If rook takes rook, then queen e8 is a checkmate. Let's go back. So after rook takes knight, Petar here resigned in the game because he's down in material. Let's look at this amazing game. This was played between Andrei Moen and world champion Veselin Topalov. Topalov is playing here with the black pieces, and here before I explain to you anything about this position, I want you to pause this video and find the best move for black. So in order to find the best move, you first need to learn how to correctly evaluate this position. If you see, white has a back rank weakness, and the only strong defender of this back rank is this rook over here, correct? And if you look at this queen, she's defending this back rank to some extent because she has access to these three squares, correct? Also, this queen is stuck to give defense to this bishop over here. So basically, if you look at this queen, she is responsible for taking care of these three squares as well as providing defense to this bishop over here. But she cannot protect the back rank as well as this bishop at the same time. Also, if you look at black's pieces, this black rook is enjoying this open d file and is aiming at this important d1 square, as well as black's queen and the other rook has formed a strong battery on the e file aiming at the e1 square. And if you look at the queen over here, she is overloaded with her defensive jobs because she has to make sure that she protects this important key square, which is the e1 square, as well as she is liable to protect this bishop over here. And because she is overloaded with her defensive jobs, black immediately takes advantage of this by playing rook takes bishop. Rook takes bishop simply wins a piece. If white captures the rook, then black can now play bishop h6, skewing white's pieces. And you must be wondering why bishop h6 is played here. Why can't we just give a check over here? Because if you give check, then obviously white is smart enough to not capture the back with his queen, because otherwise he will lose the game. So what he will do in this situation is he will simply block the check with his queen. And after queen takes queen, rook takes queen, white is just doing fine. In fact, he is doing better because he is up in material. So let's go back. So after queen captures rook, white's queen is still on this f file and is trying to control this square over here, which is the key square in the back rank. So that is why black chose to play bishop h6, skewing white's pieces. Now here white should have ideally played queen to g3 or maybe queen to f1 or maybe to d4. But instead, white made the mistake of capturing this bishop, making her leave the defense of the back rank, which black immediately took advantage of. So black played queen e1 check, rook takes queen, and now rook takes rook is a checkmate. And now moving on to the last game for the day, and this is one of my favorite games, which is played by world champion Bobby Fischer and international master Raymond Weinstein. If you look at the position over here, the position is kind of balanced with slight advantage to white because white's pieces are far more active and placed better as compared to black's pieces. So white has slight advantage in the game, and if you see, black has a back rank weakness because this rook is the only piece over here which is kind of trying to defend this back rank over here, and because white has doubled up his rooks on the b file, black's king does not have access to these two squares and he's kind of trapped in the corner of the board. And here it was black's turn to move, and ideally black should have played here queen to d6, because if you see, both of these pieces are hanging over here, so both these pieces would get protection by the queen first of all. Secondly, since white is attacking this pawn over here with two of his pieces, black would have been able to guard this pawn with two of his pieces, the queen and the knight. And thirdly, this queen is like sitting in the side of the board and is not doing anything over here. So getting the queen to the center of the board in your own territory and trying to add extra defense to this important square which is attacked by two of these rooks would have been a very good decision. But black here totally fails to analyze this position properly, and he doesn't see a back rank weakness as such. And guess what he ends up playing here? He plays e4. e4 is such a horrible move. Just look at this. Black is like, okay, I am being attacked twice and I am only defending it once. Let me just move the pawn forward. So he plays e4 so that he can just, safeguard his pawn. But this is a horrible move. You know why? Because this pawn move has just opened up the lines for this dark squared bishop. And now this b8 square, which was earlier attacked by these two rooks, is now being attacked by this dark squared bishop as well. So now three of white's pieces are attacking this b8 square. And because black has just one defender over here for this 8th rank, Bobby Fischer here played a brilliant move which tries to distract this important defender from this back rank. So the move that he played in the game was queen takes h6. Now why is this move brilliant? Well, first of all, this rook is hanging, this bishop is hanging. So white is trying to attack both of these pieces. So what should black play? Well, whatever move that black tries to play over here either leads to a loss of material or an eventual checkmate. And that is why black here resigned in the game. I know you are shocked that how come with all of these pieces on the board, black is getting checkmated. So let's see. So if black tries to capture this queen, white can now play rook b8 check, knight captures the rook, and now rook takes knight is a checkmate. If black tries to protect this rook by getting his other rook on the f8 square, then in that case, queen can take the bishop, black's queen comes to a6 in order to protect this knight over here, queen captures the d5 pawn, rook goes to d8 in order to attack the queen, queen captures the e4 pawn. White is tremendously up in material over here. So if black here tries to play rook d1 check, then white can simply capture back with his rook, queen can capture the other rook, and after these exchanges, white is up in material by 6 points and it is an easy win for white. So let's go back. So after this attack on the queen, instead of capturing the pawn, white can also choose to play bishop to d6, trying to block this attack. If rook captures the bishop, then queen captures the bishop, queen goes to c8, and now white can play g5, trying to push the pass pawn that he has on the g file. Queen goes to e8, bishop to d7, double attacking black's pieces. If queen goes to f8, then bishop takes knight is a checkmate. So let's go back. If knight goes to e7, then he loses the queen. Rook takes bishop, rook b8 check, rook takes rook, and now queen takes rook is a checkmate. Let's go back. And if knight goes to b4, trying to sacrifice in order to block this strong attack, then that doesn't help either, because rook can simply capture the knight. If queen goes to d8, then bishop c6 is a mate, and if queen goes to any other place, then it's getting checkmated anyway, because let's say if it comes to c8, then queen c6 check, queen takes queen, and bishop takes queen is a checkmate. Let's go back. If queen goes to b8, then it's a checkmate again. And if rook goes to h6 attacking the queen, then queen can go to d5, checking the black king. Rook comes to c6, and now it's a check. Again, queen takes, and it's a checkmate. So let's go back. You have seen that rook captures queen is not working. This rook going back to the f8 square is also not working. So if black here tries to play a6 in this situation in order to attack this rook over here, then white can simply capture this bishop over here. Black will capture the rook, and now white will capture the knight with a check. Rook blocks the check, and now rook takes pawn, double attacking this pinned rook over here. Queen goes to a7 for rook's defense, and now white can play g5, trying to push the passed pawn. If rook goes to g8 in order to stop it, that doesn't help, because white can now play bishop to c8, attacking this rook one more time. If rook captures bishop, then queen captures rook check, rook comes to b8, now rook takes rook check, queen takes rook, and now queen takes queen is a checkmate. Let's go back. So therefore, black will try to protect this rook by playing rook to g7. But in that case, white can play bishop takes rook check, rook takes bishop, now queen c8 check, rook goes to b8, rook takes rook check, queen takes rook, and now queen takes queen is a checkmate again. So a6 is also not working for black. What happens if black plays queen to f8? Let's see. So if black plays queen to f8, then white queen can simply capture the free bishop over here, and black is already down in material, and here black can play rook to f6, trying to attack this queen. Queen can go to d7, and now black plays queen to c8, asking white to trade queens. So queen takes queen check, rook takes queen, and now g5, attacking the rook with the passed pawn, as well as revealing a discovered attack on this c8 rook over here. Black obviously can't let go of his rook on the 8th rank, otherwise he will get checkmated very soon by these two rooks over here. So therefore, black moves the rook on the 8th rank to the h8 square, and now pawn takes rook, and now a6, attacking the rook as well as creating a flight square for the king. But this is not going to help black anyway, because white can now play rook to b6, attacking both this pawn as well as this knight over here. If knight goes to a5, then rook takes pawn is a checkmate. Let's go back. And if here black plays king to a7, then white can simply capture this free knight over here. Black will play a5, and now white can play bishop to c8, trying to take control of the squares around the king. Rook captures bishop, rook captures rook, and now e3, and now white can play bishop b8 check. If king goes to a8, then white can play bishop d6 check, king goes to a7, bishop c5 check, king goes to a6, and now rook a8 is a checkmate again. Let's go back. So here, instead of going to a8, if the king goes to a6, then rook c6 is a checkmate. So let's go back to the original position. After queen captures pawn, none of the moves are actually working for black in this position. Whatever black tries to play, in all of the variations, either black is losing a lot of material or he is eventually getting checkmated. And that is why in the game, at this point of time, Raymond Weinstein resigned against Bobby Fischer. I really hope all these powerful 11 examples that I have shown you from the Masters games must have helped you to deepen your knowledge in spotting and exploiting back rank weaknesses in simple as well as complex positions. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask me in the comments box below. Signing off for now, I will see you in the next video. Until then, keep learning, keep practicing.